Move out of the way when you give that announcement. 10-4.
And the officers are very clear whether the curfew is meant for the media or not.
You to command. Were you trying to raise me
to their intentions.
Yes, sir. This is communicating with Foxtrot, and Fox is coordinating picking up Unit 3.
Unit 10-6 unless you have a 1033.
All right, so we're going to stand by Unit 3 to get here and provide some negative announcements. We're good here.
Very surprised by who the police is targeting as they start to move. So,
all right, Foxtrot, I'll stand by. Yeah, the aircraft should be picking them up now, and once we get here, we'll begin to make the announcement.
A curfew is not the normal order of things.
All right, 800 to the skirmish line at 15 North. Be advised. Hold the line. You do not advance. The arrest team will come through you, and you will close the line behind them, and then open it up with the extraction. You do not advance.
What you have been seeing. Anderson, thank you very much. Stay with me. We've got a lot going on here tonight, of course, in Baltimore, Maryland. Our breaking news here in Baltimore, a citywide curfew. It is starting right now. The question is, will people go home? Will they go home? And if they don't, what happens then? This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don from our correspondents that we have out in the crowd. The mayor calling for protesters to leave. And then meanwhile, 2,000 national police trying to keep the lid on this city, a city that is holding its breath right now. The people who live and work in Baltimore, the people who are raising their families here, none of them wants to see a repeat of last night's violence, a repeat of this weekend's destruction. So Anderson Cooper is here with me. He's going to join us. Senator Chris Cuomo is out among the crowd.
Sir, you have a vehicle west of Cary. I know it's your friendly side, but you got a vehicle there with lights on outside of the skirmish line. You want to move him?
What I want to know, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, do me a favor, Citywide Command. Get with 701. He's the commander on that side. He's got a better vantage point than I do.
Obviously the police response in each among, confronting each of these groups of protesters, and also the volunteers. We've seen a real important role that volunteers and pastors have been playing tonight in standing between the police and standing between crowds. And I think how the police respond to those volunteers, how they incorporate or use those volunteers, do they allow the volunteers to stay out in order to try to see the situation? And I'm not sure how it's going to be.
We have seen community leaders. We have seen.
So tell me where do we go tonight, State Senator Pugh?
We want our people to go home, but we also need the media to move back because this is just inciting people.
So you tell me where to go. We'll go.
Okay.
We'll go. All right, come on, let's move on.
All units be advised that the press has permission to be out after 10 o'clock. Once again, the press does have permission to be out.
Here, turn. Okay, Sean. I know that was very unpleasant, but it shows you the extent of the emotions.
Well, it's a very emotional thing because people have been out here all day long. They've been demonstrating very peacefully. And, I think that what people see are camera lights. And when you see that, it incites people. But these people have been out here all day long just demonstrating very peacefully. And they're demonstrating because they care about their neighborhoods and they care about their communities. And what they've been saying all day long is that we need economic development in our communities. We need economic opportunity. This community is not monolithic. Crime is not the only issue, but we need police to respect our neighborhoods. And when you know that this is not just happening in Baltimore, this has happened all across the country. Black lives matter, and black men have died as a result of being in custody with police. Mondawmin and asked parents to come out and get their children, and parents did that, and we're grateful for parents doing that.
And then Unit 2 is going to have from there 10-4.
And then we've got. All right, 10-4. We have to get ability to record it, so I've recorded the message and I'll begin playing once Unit 3 get here. And you didn't want me to ask the media to just move out of the way, correct?
This in voting rights, and America needs to wake up.
10-4.
All right, folks, we got to get out of here.
All right, so Don, representative, he's going to go talk to the police and see how they're going to deal with the actual administration of the curfew. And we are going to stick near the
somebody else
because
picked
frankly,
it
he's
up.
not here alone, Don. So we're going to make sure that he's okay as everything.
I don't see it on the board anymore.
And the big concern is going to be about how the
Liberty.
curfew was enforced, Don. We'll be keeping our camera up for you, and you'll see it the same way we do.
Before we let you go, we've got some, what, Anderson, I'd say about 40 people out here. And where you are, Chris, how many people are you seeing out? It is curfew time.
We need the reporters and stuff
There are hundreds of people out here. There are probably a couple hundred media and several hundred more actual people spreading out through the intersection and down the side streets. There are just as many police officers, maybe 6, 7 deep. Jay, if you want to swing around real quick and just give a look, that goes back much deeper than it seems right now. There's several different types of supply vehicles that are there. Jay's trying to shoot. There's one of the guys on a bicycle in front of him who's trying to help the situation, but he's really just getting involved. So this goes back 6, 7 layers. The question is, once they decide to enforce the curfew, the people who think they're helping right now are going to wind up being the first ones that get swept up in their action. So the question then will become, what will they do?
7.
What could be well over 1,000 people here in front of them, and there are, we hear, attendant forces up the side streets off this main intersection. So again, it's all going to be about how it's enforced.
B&E 415, West Franklin.
Well, ma'am, I don't know if it's B&E yet, but I'm here.
Carroll now. Jason is also out in the crowd. Jason, what are you seeing?
Well, I can tell you, as we look here at the number of officers that have started to line up just within the past 10 minutes or so, we have
3 4 the open mic
out here. Now they are 3 deep, so they have extended the ranks out here, coming, in the minutes coming up to 10 o'clock. But still, so far, things tense here at this intersection of Pennsylvania and North, but unchanged in terms of they're dealing with. Those who are out here. I know that you heard Chris Cuomo talk about this a little earlier. Those who are engaging the community are the community members themselves. They've been out here on loudspeakers in the hour or two leading up to the curfew, encouraging people to leave, Don. At one point, though, the police helicopter above did make the announcement to clear the streets. That was heard by not the some 200 people who are still feeding into some of the side streets leading into this intersection here. So at this point,
I've got Madison and Cloverdale Road for a suspicious person, 6 minutes on it. Madison and Cloverdale. Caller sees a group of people and heard something.
All right, Jason,
metal fall on the ground.
I want to tell our viewers that it is 7 minutes after 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on the East Coast in the city of Baltimore. The citywide curfew went into effect just some
10 for Unit 3, supposed to meet you all on the roof.
If not thousands of people.
Yeah, that aircraft is there. Also, the arrest location up on Mount Pressbury, you had a little small group gathering up there in the street also.
Has been reporting that police have
10 for a copy.
Screen there. Police have drawn lines in the middle of the street. You can see people trying to clear the streets. They're urging the demonstrators to go home. The demonstrators appear to not want to go home. So the question is, what's going to happen now? Is there enough manpower to get people off the streets? If the protests are still peaceful, do they allow people to stay or do they arrest them? They've got plenty of manpower, but is it enough? 2,000 National Guardsmen added to police, 1,000 police trying to keep a lid on all of this. As we said at the beginning of this show, the city and police are trying to keep a lid on this city. Seeing as Ryan Young, also out in the crowd. Ryan, we've heard
1032, 2500 Liberty Heights, 2208 is the time for Northwest 2.
Well, so far you can see the Elijah Cummings is addressing the crowd right now, trying to tell people to go home. We've seen a crowd change over the last hour and a half or so. We've seen.
All right, make that CC 11948. 11948. Your CAD 4247. 4247.
Asking to see what's going to exactly happen when this goes on. So people are just waiting patiently to see if the cops are going to push or are they going to stand still in the middle of the street.
2121.
So everyone's just sort of waiting around to see what happens next.
Okay. Totally 35, I'm ready.
And again, tell us the number of people
First one is J. John,
seeing out there.
525
So far, no
809
violence, right, Ryan?
590
still pretty peaceful.
No violence whatsoever, but you know what? We're going to walk a little bit. I'm going to show you this direction. You can see the surge of people who are coming up the street. Everyone's waiting for this 10 o'clock hour, and they've all been talking about marching forward to where the cops are. One lady just walked over.
All right, 10-4, someone who's in the area, Foxtrot's on the roof right now. I need somebody to acknowledge so I can give them an announcement to me.
Just go home peacefully. all the music that was being played.
Yeah, I just don't want that you get us all distracted people if they already pre-recorded the message. We just wait to broadcast. It's just the ones you gave out.
But you can hear the crowd.
You're up right now, right?
To go home. In fact, there are several people who are here who seem like they want to challenge the police
All right.
to see if they
Or
can
you
move them
can
off the
begin
street.
making the announcement. It's 2213, 2215. This calls to Unit 2, 10-4. Foxtrot, you can begin making the announcement at 4.
All of the guys up. Jason Carroll.
All right, begin at 2213.
Brian, what do you mean they don't want to go home? Explain that
Right
to us.
now, you can start the announcement at 2215. Unit 2 takes command of this 10-4. Right now, you can begin making the announcement.
Now showing up who have ready to cover their
Off-structure ground units, we're going to sit down and begin the announcement.
They're actually yelling toward the officers. I can tell you for the most part, the officers...
Operations again, media is exempt. Let's move around them instead of through them. 10-4.
Peace, peace, peace. But once again, this crowd has changed from what we have seen here earlier.
Okay, guys.
All right, Foxtrot, you command. Unit 3 is lifted from the roof, so we're going to wait for him. They'll be here about 30 seconds, and he'll make the announcement. They'll lift him down from the roof.
He is a senior pastor of Empowerment Church. He delivered Freddie Gray's eulogy and held a town hall here tonight. Also, the Reverend Ron Owens of Holy Redeemer Institutional Church of God and Christ. He joins me now. And as we were watching this, Reverend, you met with the DOJ. Did you have a meeting with the DOJ?
We did have a meeting today with the DOJ.
Al, please, Central booking with 1 from Lexington.
Sorry, say again.
We did have a meeting, a select group of 7 to 9 leaders, variations across the city did meet with the DOJ and the director of the Civil Rights Division.
Is there any concern
where I am on the list.
Watching this? We're speaking to our correspondents who are out there, and the people don't seem to be going home. Is that a concern for you?
I think it's beginning to be a concern. I think anytime you see lawlessness and direct intentions to disobey the officers, absolutely. And that's not what we've worked. We led the most
successful. Thank you. This is Country Shift.
And with Elijah Cummins, myself, 200 pastors across the city linked arm in arm, walked, engaged the police, and helped them move 2 brigades up and put out fires. We didn't do what we did for what we're seeing tonight.
And Congressman Elijah Cummings is out there. Elijah Cummings, excuse me, is out there tonight in the crowd trying to get people to obey police.
And the curfew violations, if they can go ahead and do a pass there and let the people know that going out.
The district was the juvenile curfew.
Up to 234 North Calvert. I need them to go there. I know we just received a call that was coded. I need them actually to physically go there and make sure that we don't have anyone lying in the street, please. Okay, we'll do it.
David 16-10-4. Who's with you, David 16?
16 active.
Been about for the last 9 days, and we hope to continue in that same legacy.
We were out today at one of the parks in the area, Druid Hill Park, and there were Crips, there were Bloods there were members of the Black Guerrilla Army there. They didn't quite say that
robbery at St. Paul and 20th Street, St. Paul and 20th Street, an unarmed robbery.
That's the first time that they have done that ever, and that they can remember. How big of a deal is
Caller was walking home. Looked like there was a robbery against 2 girls on the street by 2 males who grabbed something like a purse. Could have light-complected number 1 male or Hispanic male who drove down St. Paul and took a right onto North Avenue in a little Toyota SUV, like a Scion, maybe blue or gray, partial fade, Henry Frank Boyd. Do I have anybody that can respond? Unarmed robbery.
They are not thugs. They're not hoodlums. They're not criminals. They are American citizens.
8450, you can clear. 8450, you can clear 83. And go ahead and check out. So you know, actually, come back to headquarters 10-6 case. I got to send you somewhere else.
I want you to stand by. I want to get back now to my colleague, Chris Cuomo,
All right,
who is
8450,
on
that
the
AIU unit, you copy?
ground at the site of one of the protests now. Chris, are you seeing
8044,
people
correct.
going home, or are they holding firm?
No, they're not. Everybody wants to see what's going to happen. Now, one of the things that just changed was it was my understanding that the curfew was for locals, not the media, but the helicopter above our heads is saying...
Any unit can come clear. Armed robbery in progress. St. Paul and 20th, they're saying. St. Paul and 20th.
That is a new dynamic here, which obviously is going to make it very difficult for us to exercise the right of...
I don't
the publicity of this.
see anybody on my board 10-8. That's why I'm asking if anybody's coming clear.
What we're trying to do is give the officers as much space as possible. They have started throwing bottles randomly.
800 to the Green and Northeast North contingent. Advance, take the detail.
For action by the police.
Unit 2, be advised, media is not involved. 10-4. 800 to the commanding at North and Pensy. Advance your arrest team.
I got my hand on the photographer Jay. I'm pulling him back so that we can stay in front of the officers. You're seeing it the same way we are. People are moving back and down side streets.
Okay, to David 46. Are you still working on 2200 Mount Royal?
All right, cool, man.
See, the locals are not having the people throwing things at the police and telling them not to.
Where's the store going to be? Last night?
The media,
we'll go back up to,
they're saying to clear back behind the barrier. The barrier would be the police.
In the area we're up
That was a glass bottle.
and then,
I'm going to pull you back this way as they come.
Gilmore.
Chris, what are they saying? Are they saying anything, police, on bullhorns or on speakers?
You need to get out the mic away. I need you guys to clear your mic.
And the helicopter above is saying...
Unit 2 to 5, any other record.
All media as well, clear out of the area. So we're...
We got number 1 male, 160 tall, black hoodie, with our doing color in the back, black pants, and facial hair beard.
Chris, we're looking at people who are laying in the middle of the street. Is that anywhere near you?
I do not see that. I do not see people. There are a lot of people here, but I don't. You got Ryan on the other side from me and Jason behind him and Miguel farther up the street. So maybe one of them is closer to it. We're trying to stay closer to the police so we can see exactly what they do.
So, Reverend, stand by, Chris. Reverend Owens, how can this be diffused?
Well, I think before I answer that question, one of the things that we asked the DOJ to do was to put a system in place whereby they can conduct of the police as it relates to people's amendments, rights to protest. I think what you're seeing here now is exactly what Pastor
Unit 1 or Unit 2 to 800. I need you guys to advance, okay? And I need you to advance the right place. I need you to advance the right place towards south part of Pennsylvania Avenue, that wall. I need you guys to spread out. Head long, flank out to the right.
I think that you have those out there.
All right, 800 to the group. We need to move to the right side of the wall. For Mr. Moving now. The right echelon move.
That they would have to go. That severely concerns me because that dictates.
Stand out to the right. Stand out to the right. Like the movement on the right.
The media is allowed to be there. The police have said that the media is
hold. Let's hold.
Again, we're watching these pictures come in of police that appear to be moving in. And some of the protesters are defying that by...
Caller is coming from Eric Schilling, and belongs with his phone number, but he doesn't want to be contacted.
Crowds now. I'm going to go to Jason. I don't know.
Hey,
Jason,
10-4, we'll drive around one more
Jason,
time,
if you
and
can
then I'll
hear
give
me,
you a
what are you
code.
seeing at your location?
10-4.
Don, I can hear you. I'm standing right here at the front line here where you can see a number of the police officers that are still here.
Can you go over there and have an officer with the secret number of I-296? Can they switch over to 10A? 1047, if they can call the liaison's office, please, at extension 4433.
The number of police officers here in this one single formation start moving a few feet. They make an announcement, clear the area, then they start moving a few more feet, continuously asking those who are here to move back and to clear the area. What's interesting, Don, is that you saw this in some of the video earlier, not seeing at this point, but there were members of the community who were standing out there between the small fraction of people that are out here and this front line, even as incoming glass bottles and
Yeah, 10-4, 2 vehicles fully
still
involved.
standing there, still telling those few who are left to leave. Standing once again between those stragglers that are still out here as well. I'm told from one law enforcement.
Simply smoke. We're going to deploy some smoke and form a V formation, okay? I get a reference. Copy.
Until eventually.
10-4, copy. Just make sure anything deployed is deployed low. 10-4.
All right, Jason, stand by. We're watching these pictures along with you. My colleague Jason Carroll there.
16 or 17, you're clear for Separate Expired.
Reverend Bryant, my question to you is that you urged people to go home last night. Anyone who's in the sound of your voice who may be listening to you, you have some influence over. What do you say to them tonight?
I pray that they'll stay home. I'm not sure whether this is getting ready to start a chain and a cycle of deliberate
10-4, going to order the fire department.
They consciously are staying with the intention on being arrested, and I'm not sure whether that is the same intention there on tonight. But we have to see what's
In this formation train, we're going to push again. I want to make sure everybody's clear of the truck out here. So,
live under that kind of restriction in the land of the free. That all of us, myself included, ought to be home at 10 o'clock, and this is, in fact, their righteous indignation to the system.
All right. In case you're just joining us at home, it is 10:22 Eastern Time, 10:22 in the city of Baltimore, Maryland. A citywide curfew went into effect some 22 minutes ago, and there are people who are defying that, as you are watching live on your screens now here on CNN. I want to get now to one of our correspondents who's out there with that crowd. CNN's Ryan Young. Ryan, what are you seeing?
Well, right now we're in the backside of the crowd, and there's some people from the community who are yelling at these young folks to leave the street. They're hoping that they will go home for the curfew. And tell you, we were standing over here, and there were several young men throwing plastic bottles from our location over toward the police. And they got really serious when we saw them start throwing glass bottles, and they were hurling it in that direction.
It was a black Scion XP,
and we can see them where they are, but there are several people who are standing out, and they are definitely yelling back at the community, people saying they do not want to leave. A lot of people say this is the line they want to draw right here in the middle of the street, and they want to confront police.
Yes, ma'am. We were advised by Northern District that is actually their district, and they're going to be taking over that.
Here we go with the tear gas. The tear gas has been fired.
St. Paul East 20th has been transferred over to the Northern.
Thank you.
The tear gas canisters have been fired.
Several
people. Yep. There we go. We are in the middle of it.
Okay, Ryan, let's just watch this. Let's just watch this. Let's watch this, Ryan.
I think I can start heading that way. Old 32 post. What do you have?
I think that these are just smoke devices.
Is it the Bancroft or the Devonshire?
Go ahead, Chris Cuomo.
Either or, man. They're actually not too far from each other.
For the 3400 Devonshire Drive, a caller says her roommate has locked her out the house.
And that is now forcing the line to move. So
3400 Devonshire, 10-4.
10-4.
And they're moving the line.
Charlie 24, what was the code for Ferndale?
That step and drag. We'll see
Good enough.
they come up on us.
Let's just watch it a little bit, Chris, and hear police in the protest.
Says caller was walking home, looked like there was a robbery against two girls on the street, two males. They grabbed something like a purse. they were light-skinned or Hispanic. So they drove down St. Paul, took a right in a Scion, maybe blue or gray. Partial tag of Henry Frank Boy. Mission to do.
Can you attest to that?
All right, careful.
Now, they're holding that line. They've thrown those flashbangs down. Jay and I are in front of where the police officers are right now. You can see the flashbangs. They are not gas. This is not tear gas. This is not what we saw in Ferguson. They're not shooting any of their pepper bullets yet.
All right, 800, be advised, because of the stop now. You can see all the scene when they walk inside.
Look at the officers that made the line come up. Now people have retreated down the street. There is one small group here in the front. They're shifting over there now to see the area of concentration, which is where they're getting the bottles from.
Ten-4.
Now,
1-3. You said 36,
the
36.
pepper rounds are what you're hearing going off now. When you hear those pops, that's them shooting these
33, 36, 33.
powder out when they hit you that has the pepper spray, the CS powder in them.
What are we seeing in comparison to numbers between protesters and police officers?
The police are probably about 500 maybe, all the way around.
Are you watching the Central?
And the people directly in front of them have laid out, but you probably have close to 1,000 people down the streets in two different directions. The police have not pursued in either direction.
I need to tighten up our northern border just a bit.
You can see down this way people have gone straight down the street. The officers reorganized in front of them, and now they are tightening ranks to move directly down this street. And, you have young men in this crowd of police, young women in this crowd.
Intelligence says they are waiting for you guys to split. Keep the line tight. They want to flank you.
So, Chris, I want you to stand by. I just want to hear from
who wants to flank? Couldn't hear with the helicopter.
Jason, you said that you were right by the front line. And again, I want to tell our
intelligence, they're waiting for you to split the line and flank
Jason,
you.
Is
Keep the line tight.
Where you are?
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, Jason. Ryan Young, what about you?
Well, all patrol units, make sure you stay off the Pennsylvania Avenue corridor and street east of Pennsylvania
Jason
Avenue
Carroll,
corridor.
are you there?
Testing, it's Jason. I can hear you.
Go ahead. What are you seeing?
I am Don, and I can tell you, maybe you can see what's happening right now as the line of officers there are about to move in once again. We saw some of those who were throwing some of the projectiles down in this direction. Some of them took off down the street, down Pennsylvania. Some of them still throwing projectiles. I'm going to back off of my photographer here so we keep somewhat of a safe distance, still trying to show you what's going on. Some of them still throwing glass bottles, covering their faces, some of them as they were throwing some of these objects and then taking off down the street. Police using a great deal of restraint. As you can see, they kept their line out here in front of what's been going on down here on Pennsylvania Street. Very disappointing to some of the community activists who are out here trying so desperately for so long.
Your rail, but I need it double time. 10-4.
You can see a small
flame
over there, still some smoke. It did its part in terms of dispersing the crowd.
75-70, myself and Greenbelt City are down here at Moser and Pensy.
At this point,
how far are they coming south?
A great deal of restraint during some very tense moments here as some of these small number of rioters that are out here still throwing some projectiles, still making their presence known. Don.
So is it working? That's important. You pointed out. Is it working?
No. It is working. It's unfortunate for those in the community who work so hard to prevent even this from happening, as you know. Working, yes. Disappointing, even more so.
Yeah. Chris Cuomo, my same question to you. Taking now, is it working? Is it getting the ones who are defying this curfew? Is it moving them off the street, or at least further back?
Yes, that works.
Harness
10-6 to 1032 to hold up alarm 885 North Howard.
Back up towards you guys.
Alright, unit 2 to command, we're going to set the Q-shape in this intersection. We're going to have the north, the south, and the eastern border. We're going to set a U-shape. We're going to start moving ahead, and we're going to deploy
groups. And there are definitely some harder core people down this street here who are throwing the glass bottles, which certainly changes the dynamic. When the glass comes at the officers, they start reconsidering their situation and they start to deploy the pepper pellets.
We're at Team Moser.
I want to check in with all of our correspondents. So we have Ryan Young there.
We're going to retreat, and thank you.
We are actually adjusting, walking back toward the...
All right, Temper.
All right. So we're on the backside of the where everybody was running. You can see police.
2-6.
Go ahead, Ryan. Keep continuing.
1-3-4. Gonna be David now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we're on the backside of where
26.
where police were shooting those pepper.
David, no, and I'm heading over to Bancroft now.
Have a back area here where they're backing up to make sure that if people try to run back down this direction, they can easily stop them or apprehend them. They've also brought in towing trucks, and they're going to start towing cars.
11 and 44 is up on a vehicle fire. Are you close to Sector 4?
At this point, especially after that gas was in the area. People are definitely. Hold on, man. I'm on TV, so I'll give me 2 seconds.
Well, we on TV now.
So definitely. So
you got why y'all out here past 10 o'clock? They got a 10 o'clock curfew.
So obviously we have somebody still here.
We'll get back to Ryan Young in just a little bit. So we're going to go back to my colleague, Chris Cuomo. Chris, there's some people who are, still on the street as we can see. And it appears some of them are bent on causing trouble, unfortunately. It doesn't appear to be as many people out on the street in your location that the tactics that police are using, at least for the moment, may be holding or working. For the moment.
25 is this in reference to
the people going
David
home,
16's request?
Moving back down by where Ryan was. There's been a lot of volleys between the police. You hear the CO2 cartridges charging up. That's what they
David 16 in reference. He works in the main lobby on the corner of 200 St. Paul.
You see him trying to take some shots.
Just bring her down to Liberty and Clay.
They're just pockets of situations. There is no real gunfire here. That's very important to note. As dramatic as these sounds and the smoke can be, there are
I need them on the south side. On the south side. Very up to the side.
You see the smoke canisters that are being thrown back and forth. But, you have to keep it in perspective. This is not an ideal...
You're coming northbound from Moser. You're coming northbound. Which side do you want them to take? And Baltimore City.
This is not enough to disperse the crowd. They do seem to be leaving the media alone as long as we're staying out of their way. But it's really down these two areas that they would have to
with the vehicle. 3 number 1 males armed with a handgun. Fled south from the 2100 block of St. Paul. Approximately 10 minutes ago.
I'm going to get some law enforcement experts in here to judge to gauge the response that we're seeing. I'm joined now by Ed Norris, the former Baltimore police commissioner. He joins me here as also Cedric Alexander, president of the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, and also Rob Weinhole is the former chief spokesman for the Baltimore Police and a crisis public safety expert. So,
if anyone comes across that vehicle, Charlie,
so Cedric, what do you make of the response from police?
Well, it's still very early. I think what's going to be interesting to note here is that as how is this going to evolve? We don't have big crowds that are out there, as we can obviously see. However, they are somewhat slow about dispersing. I think the best thing police
all right, we'll call the response teams in because curfew is in effect.
And be very methodical in
what alley was that?
And I think eventually this crowd will move on. But you don't want to be overly aggressive
if
right
you
now.
come just past Gilmore, westbound towards Mount, the alley between the back of the church and the house is right before you get to Memphis.
In terms of where that crowd is.
Ed, you ran this.
All right, Temple, we're in route there.
I think it's been good. It's been nice.
I'm not a big believer in
out of it because the last time they worked for City in the 30s,
And you paint yourself into a corner because this is what you get when you
If there's still individuals in the alley, but there wasn't some in there earlier while those others still standing out on the
Rob, as you watch this, you see people throwing objects, you see things burning now. The response so far?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a very, very positive day in Baltimore. What you see, I think, is the older generation who's really tugged the younger generation on the sleeve and said there's a different way to handle business. And I'd hate to see a very, very positive day, a stark difference from where we were 24 hours ago, turn into anything but positive. But authorities have said, there is a curfew, there's a line in the sand, and I believe time is on their side. And again, appeal to the community to make sure that they influence young people the right way.
Are you surprised?
They set something on fire right next to the locker. I don't know if it was like a box or something.
And I think each night you very well may possibly have more people out there as well too. But I think as it goes on,
you're good. Let's move. Box track over. We deployed a little more gas, so
as things continue, it will all calm down, and we're just going to be hopeful. And
3 to 2, they're throwing the gas back at you.
Very methodical in their movements right now.
Yeah, it's actually smoke. I'm sorry.
Ed, I know that you're the former police chief and our commissioner, and you don't want to second guess what this commissioner is doing, but it appears right now, as you said, they're doing a pretty good job. If you were advising, what would you say? Hold steady, continue to do exactly what you're doing. Would you change anything?
I had
a curfew, and I would do that. I would have arrest teams on the side streets. I would walk up on them tactically. I would push them and push them and push them. Do exactly what they're doing. But you have roving teams to get the agitators and the bottle throwers. They need to be in handcuffs. The first bottle, the first rock that's thrown should be the last one. You can't let that go on. You can't let cops get abused out there. That's the only difference. And they may be doing that. You may just not see it because they may be off camera.
And I got to ask you real quickly, are you able to see these pictures?
Make the U! We're making a U!
So, Ed, we're seeing police, they move in for maybe 5 feet, and then they stop, and then they move 5 feet, and then they stop. And they do it maybe every 10 minutes or so, or as the crowds get closer.
We need more on the left flank, more on the left flank.
Well, I honestly...
800, okay, we're getting light on the left side. We need to fill in this left side.
Yeah, Unit 2 to the north side. Hold tight here, guys. Don't afraid to sit on the rear.
The whole weekend has been about police confrontation. So what do you think people are going to do? They're going to confront the police. They're going to be disobedient. They're not going to obey the curfew. That's exactly what's happening. And unless you're prepared to go in there and put people in handcuffs and lock them up and put them wherever you're going to deposit them for the curfew.
All right, Unit 2 to Unit 3, give me an assessment of what you got in front of us here. And tell us if this intersection is tight enough. We got this U-shaped form, 10-4.
Are you saying you would have advised against a curfew?
I do not believe in curfews. I've never believed in curfews. To me, this is the civilian response when they don't listen to the police.
Plus, your far right flank, you can tighten that up a little bit.
People in the 17 under had it at 10 o'clock anyway. So I don't know what we've added here. We're putting a curfew at 10 o'clock for everyone else, except now they add more confrontation. I would have definitely advised the mayor against it.
3 to 2, the crowd's at your left flank.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I think there's a lot of strategies to deal with this type of thing, but I'll say...
All right, if it's my left flank, and it should be reporters, if it's north of Pennsylvania Avenue, is that correct?
And again, not to disagree with Ed, but I think in this case, where we've been over the past week,
that's correct.
At least have to lay the law down and make sure...
All right, that looks majority reporters on CBS here. I just need to know if anywhere else, where we're looking north, if these guys are dispersed. What we got south of us a little bit.
As it's enforced, and it's...
Everything's taking way more on the line. We're getting 10.
7573. We have an armored vehicle from Laurel coming up eastbound on North Avenue, coming up to 10-2. Coming 10-2-3.
It's 10:38. Now you're 38 minutes into the curfew.
Watch, your south side on Pensy looks pretty clear right now. A block down to Cumberland. We're looking for south of that now.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a point. I mean, if you say 10 p.m., you mean 10 p.m. This is the first night that...
800 to 5. Anything on the roof that we need to be aware of?
This rule being in
place, but the police department has to enforce.
No, I don't see
they will
anything.
enforce, but I think they're taking their time at
The
this
routes are
point.
pretty good. I think they got 3 helicopters right here.
Possible.
And all the routes look
Again,
pretty
with
good.
the world's eyes on them and how they're handling this.
So, Cedric, would you have done
7573. We have an armored contingent coming from Laurel County. We're coming right at the line. Do you need us to divert from here?
Go back to Ferguson, right? And the optics at Ferguson were absolutely.
I need to, I'm sorry, somebody talking in my ear. What's your, sorry?
It appears to me that Baltimore is trying to.
Right at Pennsy North, right in front of the line in the black Humvee.
But of course, they know they got to get the mission done.
Line up and let the Humvee through, please. Open the line.
What do you do? Do you go in and start arresting people?
I think they do just what
More
they're doing
resources
right
on
now.
the right
We
side.
have to have confidence in Baltimore PD and
And
its leadership.
to Incident Command, do you have a mobile field force team that can come up to this area and start assessing these other streets for us?
Almost hit by that
What's going on? He wasn't almost hit by that armored vehicle. They drove the vehicle up, and when it got close enough to create a wedge, they ran out and grabbed him, pinned him against that, and then arrested him. They must have perceived, rightly or wrongly, we don't know, but that he was part of this group that was throwing things at them. When he tried to come up the street the first time with his hands up, they were shooting the pepper bullets at him, and he ran back with this other group. He then reapproached again. They let him come. He came across. He told all the media, you need to disperse, when, again, this curfew is not about us. It's about whoever was creating unrest last night. And then as he was walking back and forth, the Humvee came, and they used it as an opportunity, and he's being taken into custody right now, apparently.
And how many people are we seeing
North and 10. Let me know when you're 10-2-3.
Law enforcement, members of law enforcement, as opposed
10-4
to
North
how
and
many
10.
in the crowd?
And Unit 2 to Unit 3 and 5. Do you have any viable adversaries for us?
Cushion this way and 2-block cushion that way, where they're just spare people running back and forth. You have heavier duty police vehicles coming up now. See, that's what they did. This was a pinch, Don, right? You had this main force here, but you had supporting force coming behind it. That's what this guy was, coming from up the street. So to further motivate people to move back going down that way, and now he's taking off down this way. Remember what I said, this is an intricate area. There are lots of different roadways off this main hub of this intersection. But only that one person is who we've seen taken into custody. We can't speak for what's been going on down the street in either direction.
It appears what they did with the young man in the crowd, that was a pretty slick move. And also what they're doing, as Chris is describing it, a pinch. This is quite different than what we've seen.
Absolutely is, and this is exactly what I'm speaking to as well, too. You got to be methodical in a situation
Lower
such
Bruce
as
Alley for
everyone's perception of it,
Charlie O'Neill.
it would be different. But since you're asking me mine, I would do exactly what we see Baltimore doing tonight. I think they're doing a good job, and let's see how things continue to evolve throughout the night and throughout the week.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that they're isolating, containing, arresting those who are going to continue to violate. Let's see where it goes, but I think so far everyone's working in lockstep. Again, make no apologies for enforcing the law, but doing it in a way that also promotes peace over the long term.
Yeah. So Ed, what's happening right now? Is this training that's kicking in? Is this briefing beforehand this evening?
10-4, from all my intel right now, what we're getting from the air, I think we have any aggressive.
You know, things like this happen.
10-4, we'll send them anyway.
Great job under terrible circumstances with the whole world watching.
Yeah, Foxtrot 2, Unit 2.
That department right now, because this is a really tense situation.
Anybody in
I think you're doing a great job. I really do.
Everyone is slowly dispersing.
Tremendous restraint.
Footage, but right at where the juveniles are at, it's just like a cat pound. They're not going to beat the fox. They're not going to leave. They're just going to keep playing cat pound. So right where my light is at now is where the bulk of the crowd. Everything else is pretty much.
Person that we saw, in Chris's live shot there.
Well, I go back and say this. Look where we were 24 hours ago. You and I stood here 24 hours ago, and we could smell smoke and hear sirens.
Can we get a couple more shields on the left flank? Shields on the left flank.
A lot of training going to work right now, and hopefully it is implemented in a way that, again...
Supervisor, take your squad. We have doubled up on shields, and you're on the left side.
...in enforcement, and I think once folks understand that the curfew will be enforced, it'll get a little bit easier every evening.
43 minutes into the hour.
We're just checking Steve Crowley's sign for me yet.
After this curfew, has been put into place, and still there are people who are out on the streets. 44 minutes now into the hour. As we watch thousands of police officers, thousands of members of the National Guard on the scene here, and what appears to be hundreds of protesters who are defying the curfew. We're going to take a quick break. We'll keep it on.
I was just taking another look. Right at 1300 block of West North, it honestly looked like it's just media. You got like a couple of juveniles, but it looked like it's a bunch of media, honestly.
Alright, Unit 2, can I get the mobile field force team? I need you guys to check Druid Hill and North, okay? Look for juveniles. Avoid the media, please. Do not engage the media. We're just looking for curfew violators.
I could actually see
Northwest 1's direct.
draft card from World War I.
West 2's direct.
His U.S. Census from 1910. And another members tree that had my great-grandparents and their parents and everything. And it all started with my first leaf.
Who will you discover at Ancestry.com?
Says, proof of suspicious males. Oh, that's it.
Black Center, all ship commanders, 1021, Black Center, 2244.
I think our count is at 3 right now, U.S. Black Community.
Right at Eddie and White Box. You got a group.
There are orders to leave. I just want to show you one of the things that they use here. This is it. This is what they've been firing. This is called a rubber baton. Can you imagine getting hit with this? It would hurt. And this is what they were firing at some of those who were out here refusing to leave, refusing to honor the curfew. And, you know, it was definitely tense out here for a few minutes. It seems more calm. I know it looks bad.
Was there motion coming
standing out here and things like this are happening?
from
We
that
do try to
burglary?
take shelter behind cars as people are moving through here. So. But I just do want to get a sense, give you more of a sense of what these
North
officers are
Avenue,
doing now.
Pennsylvania South. Give me a customer.
Continuing to hold their line, to move step by step.
Yeah, you just got all kinds of juveniles everywhere. Okay, they come on, go down up 50. Come on, go down up 50.
So eventually what they may have to do is...
You got a couple right there.
And go after some of those people, but for now they're holding...
That's news media. It's 2020 news media. I'm sorry, guys. I thought it was juveniles in news media.
Jason, I want you to stand by. Chris, heads up. I want to run this video moments ago about how they apprehended that protester that was in the crowd right near you. He's walking right in front of police, and then they...
All right, this bad guy, if you make the right, you got a bunch right in front of you. If you make the right, you got a bunch in front of you coming out of the parking lot.
Okay, there it is. And then all of a sudden he's gone. You don't see him because they have taken him into behind that police line. Chris is well executed, and Chris is quite different than what we have seen in some of the other cities where we covered protesters, especially Ferguson.
Look, once you get past the idea of the curfew, right, which is inherently something you don't want, right? You want to have freedom, you want to have normal life, but you don't have a normal situation right now. There is a curfew in effect, and once you accept that, the idea, as we were saying earlier, Don, the idea that you're going to come up to other people and say you need to leave doesn't work when you're the one who's supposed to be getting out of the streets.
Yeah, I have
he was telling us,
Ridgewood and
you don't have to leave because we need people to watch this situation in the interest of the public. So as he walked back in front, they opened up the line, an arresting unit came out, grabbed him, put him back in. Another guy then came out and was obviously challenging the authority of the police. He walked around, he said, I want to walk behind you. They said, no, you can't walk. So then he walked back in front of them very slowly and very closely. And then as he got to the middle of the line, it opened up and he was gone as well.
Triple search, sit in the back with them, call them in, and transport them into the district. And when one finally becomes available, they can pick them up from the district.
Is your friend if you want to see no excessive force or violence, and they have been very
also 40. You have some calls for like 325 McMacken.
Yeah, I do. I have a curfew violation for 325 McMacken. 50 minutes on it.
Yo, Jackie, I just talked to the armed security. That's who's outside. Any calls for that, just dupe it with a David Nancy in my box.
The curfew violation?
Yes, it's armed security. They're working. They're lawfully out and about.
And we also have to remember, too, Don, that a lot of these officers on 12-hour shifts, they're out there. They've been working a long time.
Loud music. 1807 stay full. 1807 stay full.
They're using a great deal of restraint. And I really have to tip my hat off to them tonight, Baltimore police, because you just saw as well, too, where they took that guy under arrest. Right. That was very well coordinated and planned. And the way that they executed was it was done as well too. So
pulling up in the line here, we use it to tighten up our northern border. Empty and north, take the north side.
Anyone that's going to challenging them, such as what we see right
And
now.
701, I could get you a 1 and 7 out of our line. We could start cutting our line down a little bit if you want it.
Who once ran this department.
If you're all right, I just want to make sure you don't get pranked. If you're not cut yourself thin, you can send 7 up, take that northern side, we can tighten it a little bit.
It's surprising to see a city this big, a major American city, to have this going on in this day and age, Ed.
Actually, 701, 1022, we just had a couple fires. See what you got down there.
It's a source of embarrassment and it's a frightening time.
Northwest one.
You're absolutely right. You don't see cities this size.
Operations in Foxtrot.
Departments and, pro sports teams, and it's a major American city. To be under curfew like this, it's a big black eye in the town. It's not a good time for us.
Can you head over there and do that?
I want to ask real quickly, and I'll ask it on the other side. We're getting close to the top of the hour. For almost an hour, the city has the curfew has gone into effect for Baltimore, Maryland, and you see.
I also think it may be news media putting on members of the police department, also the National Guard as
well. Curfew going into effect at 10 p.m. Eastern. Some people chose to defer.
We're on the west side of the street walking south.
Now we're watching the effects of it.
3, 4, number 1 L, all black bushy.
We'll take a quick break.
White mat.
In moments.
Mobile for a bit.
All dark hoodies just came out of the alley. Going to be at was it Gold and Druid Hill.
Including our very own Chris Cuomo, who has been watching this all unfold with me tonight. Chris, what are you seeing where you are? How many people are we seeing out there as opposed to police?
Determined due to attempted looting or arson or something. I also need to know the location and what it was. That way I can let them watch them. They're trying to keep track of these different incidents.
But those who are supposed to be respecting the curfew are largely gone. They've moved down side streets, and different detachments of the officers have moved there as well. The officers have been moving very methodically, holding the line. They're now calling up some of their own reinforcements from other situations. A couple of people have been taken into custody, but so far this has been, thankfully, very uneventful in terms of violence.
Need one of those helicopters to switch over, help those units of Franklin back up.
I'm here with my law enforcement experts, and we are watching this, again, all unfold as we just get close to the top of the hour.
All right, what else we've got? Fourth one.
Police officers
at Mulberry and Utah.
According to our Chris Cuomo, none, he says, out on the street. And many
over there.
Driven
wagon over there.
Intersections by police officers, and you see them in their tactical gear as they have been on several corners, the most affected areas of the city throughout the evening and really throughout the day here. But again, that curfew going into effect 1 hour.
1026, 212, 41, 1026.
Our breaking news.
So that the rest of what they got going on, we're just about bingo on fuel, and the county aircraft's going to come relieve us in about 2 minutes.
As they enforce this curfew, 2,000 National Guard.
So back in Utah to 7-Eleven, they're requesting assistance 10-4.
After a day of largely.
All right, we're going to break on. We'll go down there real quick.
The White House to the people of Baltimore calling.
10-4, if you can do that for just a moment.
I want to go now straight to CNN's Miguel Marquez. Miguel has been out in all of this as well. What are you seeing, Miguel?
Well, we're seeing the acts of defiance in the neighborhoods around where people were earlier. We actually flew down to South Baltimore because we understood that there was some rioting down there. There is not. I want you to look right up the street here. This is Pennsylvania Avenue. This is the street that we marched down on Saturday all the way down to downtown. That is where the phalanx of officers is starting to move down along with heavy equipment. And if you come around this way, this is Pennsylvania Avenue. You can see it's been trashed to some degree. All the trash cans thrown in the streets. They're trying to block the streets. And in the streets themselves, there are individuals who are defying police orders. The police cars are roaming through the area. They are announcing to the individuals that they see.
They got 4 right up here. What is it? Umbrella and Sixth Street.
Armored vehicles. We've seen them from Montgomery County, from Anne Arundel County, from Baltimore County. You can see that this one, several of them were hit by paint in recent days, and eggs and just about everything else. But still a lot of cars on the streets and still a lot of individuals on the streets that police are trying to get home. To get them to go home, mainly having a very heavy force. When we first got out of the car about 5-10 minutes ago here, there was a very heavy smell of pepper spray. You could feel it in your throat. That seems to be dissipating. They don't seem to be using that anymore. They are holding in place, taking a few steps every now and again, moving into these neighborhoods. We just went by Western District, which had been the focal point for a lot of the peaceful protests over the last 14 days or so. They have pushed back even farther now, about 2 blocks, the security perimeter around that police station. The site where Freddie Gray was arrested, which is also a hot spot around here. Almost nobody there, but there are people in the neighborhood saying that they are going to stay out and defy.
Until we get further information of the landline.
No, we're headed out to the location now.
Alright, 10-4. And Henry 370, I keep saying you can't up on Citywide.
As well, and has been out on the streets of Baltimore. Ryan, take us to your location and tell us what you're seeing.
Unit with the sequence, Henry 370.
We are down west-north, and this was the rally point after we had to run away from that gas. Tear gas hit us. It was very hard for us to breathe. That seemed to push a lot of people who were hanging around this back end away. Now, we've had a few people now come back out after that gas.
Edward Sam Lincoln, 0035.
A lot of people who were saying they were not going to leave, and that really changed their minds. It's hard to breathe. In fact, you faced that before, so you understand what I'm talking about, how it gets your eyes and your lungs. Right now, there's a few people hanging out, playing some music in the distance over here, but there's a lot of media standing down this way. They've cleared out the streets remarkably in the last 30 minutes.
Man, you never call back on that.
And small patrol units kind of working their way through the side streets just to make sure none of the larger crowds were hanging around anymore. It has really changed in the last hour.
Other things that these officers, they kept their...
Okay, Foxtrot, where would you like me to bring him? Would you like me to bring him in the staging area from the north?
All right. Thank you very much, Jason Carroll. Jason, stay with us as well. I want to get to my colleague, Brian Todd. CNN's Brian Todd. Brian, tell us what you're seeing and where you are.
Okay, that's the federal. You say David now, right?
Don, we are approaching the intersection where we're seeing a large crowd of people kind of in a standoff with police here at Pennsylvania and North Avenues. Trying to make our way a little bit closer in here to the police. This is a large phalanx of police officers here as we make our way. Somebody is, the officers are getting commands here.
You talk to me here or on Citywide as far as what you need us to do, what area is ours.
A couple of hundred protesters who started here and marched several miles around this
MTAP Mobile Field Force Operations
of West Baltimore, downtown, and then back here. And it was a very dynamic situation. It did get tense. There were volunteers out here earlier, Don, who were keeping the crowd back from police and were telling young people as the curfew approached to leave. And almost physically, moving the young people out of the way, the children out of the way, getting them down the street toward their homes. And it appeared to be a more responsible atmosphere than we've seen in the last few minutes.
Don't come down North Avenue.
Exactly what escalated the situation now, but it is a departure from what happened
earlier.
And as Jason mentioned a short time ago,
we're waiting, sir, on where we want you to be placed. Just send this for a moment.
Has been measured as well, we have to say, at this point, Don.
All right. I want you to stand by Brian Todd. Great reporting from all of our guys that are out there in the streets. We've got
MTAP Mobile Field Force 2 Operations.
It is 11 minutes after 7. An hour and 7 minutes. Baltimore has been under a curfew. They want everyone off the streets. They're allowing the media to be on the streets, but it appears not everyone is taking that in stride, and some people are defying those orders. I want to get to my law enforcement experts right now. Joining me is Neil Franklin and also Cedric Alexander. You heard what Miguel Marquez said. Miguel Marquez says it's a big show of force.
On the right-hand side, there's a parking lot. After retreat and before North Avenue.
Monday morning quarterback, and I think we discussed
what the social services is basically the same block the lady was burned out.
would dictate how many.
Yes, just north of the Rite Aid. Is that your column that's coming in now?
Children amassing up there.
447, I'm right here, Division and North. Make my way around.
I think that's quite evident. We didn't have.
If you're Division and North, yeah, just head down to Pensy, make a left onto Pensy, and you'll see the parking lot between Retreat and North Avenue.
The numbers here. We have the numbers there. Penn North.
Pennsylvania and North Avenue, you need 1038 for an officer.
According to what the citizens do.
Look at the manpower and the equipment we're seeing here.
Yeah, when you know, in cases like this, and
Kurt, what do you have up there? You got TAC medics assigned to you? And need a medic unit? What happened?
more than adequate resources and personnel.
TAC medics, they're treating them right now, and they're the ones that get them at 1038.
Of strength, and they're very tempered in their movement.
All right, Tim. What's the nature?
And very professional as well.
He got a severe cut to his leg, and it's swelling.
This is where Miguel Marquez is. Miguel, what are you seeing? Talk to us.
Sir, I'm at North Avenue in Utah with this convoy. Which way do you want me to come in?
7650, 31. We can see if probably one guy put him in a car and get him out of here if we don't want to wait for a medic. It's not life threatening, but it's going to need treatment.
South of North Avenue, down Pennsylvania Avenue. They are
Foxtrot, are you going to the staging area?
You can see the large number of vehicles.
Yes, Fox, I'm trying to get in with this convoy to assist Unit 2 with this 15 armor with these troopers and stuff, and National Guards. I'm trying to get a safe way to come in. I'm on north in Utah right now. If you want to shine your light over here, you'll see I have an old armor convoy just trying to get a safe way to come in.
Operations, just 10-6 for a second there, AIU. Operations of Unit 2, once you get those Humvees on scene, that you are good to execute what you did with the demob and placing all that out there if you're clear of curfew violators. 10-4. And what was the mechanism of injury for the officer? Do we have that?
Coming through a large brick to his leg.
Transfer him into an ambulance, and then he slipped into a coma and never recovered. This is the area that is showing the most.
Yeah, another car stop, 2800 block of North Tower.
They can come in, we're going to do what we want, but at the moment you can see the level of force that the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland is bringing to bear here. State troopers out here tonight, Don.
Miguel, are they letting you anywhere near that line? Can you walk down there, or they won't let you do it?
We can walk. Here's the issue. If we walk,
Clear, or going north, North Avenue. We have plenty of ways we can bring the Bearcat and get them out.
for us to move. They are going to form up along here and probably start moving down toward this way because you can see.
Unit 2, can I bring those Humvees into the staging area to the north?
Everybody's kind of staring at everybody's waiting to see who blinks. They are hoping that the civilians will blink on their own and just go home. A lot of civilians in this area say we're not going to do it. So I think it'll be a lot of that.
Good evening. At the Metro stop in Montgomery Mall, we got enough one male to go. Can we get 1014 here, please?
To get them to do what they want to do. Done?
All right, and they're appear to be moving in and to place right behind you there, Miguel. Miguel Marquez, keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it ourselves. We'll get back to you in just a moment.
10-4. Foxtrot to the convoy. If you continue up Utah to Druid Hill, take Druid Hill northbound to Gwynn Falls. Take Gwynn Falls to Pennsylvania Avenue south to Retreat. You'll see the parking lot just to the north of North Avenue on your right-hand side.
You've gotten tonight. What's happening this evening? Okay, there's some civil unrest, but this is minimal compared to what was happening yesterday. And what
LP2, can we get a 1014 up to Montgomery Mall, right to Sound and Liberty for a curfew violator?
Today, starting with the lawyer, Mr. Murphy. Congressman came in.
These seatbelts in, and we're out.
On the street, you have clergy from every side of the community that have come together, been out in the street speaking all day long. So the seeds were planted today, and the police are doing an unbelievable job.
Wagon forcible, man.
If you ask, remember, when I spoke last night, I said unequivocally, you know, this is not the Baltimore I know. There are 600,000 residents in that city. And right now you've seen 2 people arrested this evening, and what is there, a scattering of a couple hundred people on the streets that are going to be defiant no matter what was going on. So Baltimore needs to get a lot of props. The leadership in Baltimore needs a lot of props for stepping up to the plate. So,
okay, but back to units in the Northern District, I believe myself and Tim have made about 6 car stops, and I still have yet to hear any of my units make any car stops. I know there's vehicles out here, and I know there's people out here. They need to enforce the curfew. I can't lead the way the whole time.
I was born in Baltimore. I have family that's in Baltimore. I was just visiting my mother in Baltimore 2 days ago. Yeah, I'm really proud of the city.
And it's, yeah, and listen, it's really, it's a lot less people out than 10 o'clock. And we saw this, you know, images like this in Ferguson. It turned much more violent, though. And I spoke to, I don't know if you saw the interview of the governor and the mayor last night. It was a bit contentious. But people wanted some answers.
3072, Unit 3072. Anyone that borrowed a bunker from the unit last night, there's 3 bunkers, 1 head.
Something about the approach. Let's think back to Ferguson. When the troops came in, the police came in, they came in loud.
Also a pair of handcuffs
aiming weapons
with a yellow sticker of Ida 287. Anyone with those bunkers. And 1026 and advised for 37.